welcome to Great Getaways, the original outdoor adventure and travel show. Taken from our third blog show from our Facebook videos. Response has been phenomenal. We've gotten a lot of comments on how people like to see all this information stuffed into one show. So let's get started. We've been on an Alabaster bike trail before, but not on the newest section that takes you by the historic and abandoned Alabaster gypsum plant located right on Lake Huron. Alabaster, south of Tawas and Lake Huron, was named after a variety of gypsum discovered offshore by Douglas Houghton in 1837. Prospectors soon began searching for other gypsum deposits, and this quarry was opened in 1862. Incorporated into the U.S. Gypsum Company in 1902, this quarry has helped make Michigan a leading producer of gypsum for over a century. Well, we needed some bikes to ride the trail, so we went downtown to the Huron Sports and Fitness Center, where they had a great selection of bikes for rent, not to mention a great workout center. One look at owner Kane Kelly, and you could see that this is a man that was living proof of his sports center. Kane was gracious enough to spend some time with us and help us pick out the best bike for what we wanted to do. As we were looking over the bikes, Heidi excitedly said, "Hey, why don't we get a bicycle built for two?" Great idea, and I started singing the song, "You'll look sweet upon the seat of a bicycle built for two," as everyone stared at me as if I'd lost my mind. I shut up and we grabbed the bike and all our gear and moved over to the trail. Well, it was time for Heidi and me to jump on our bicycle built for two and take a ride on the new Alabaster Bike and Pedestrian Trail. I've heard so much about this trail that I was excited to get started. As we started down the trail, we met with one of the people responsible for making this trail happen, Stephanie Wentworth, the Alabaster Township Supervisor.
Hi Heidi, how are you?
Good. This is Tom with Great Getaways.
Hi,
Hey, nice to meet you, Stephanie.
Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Alabaster Bike Path Arboretum. And on such a beautiful day.
It is beautiful out here, and I understand you had a lot to do with putting this thing together.
I had a little bit to do with it, yes. It was, I think, an 11-year project. We started the first phase in 2000, or finished the first phase in 2007. Finished this phase 2016. So it's been a long time going. It's approximately 7.5 miles from one end to the other of the township, Alabaster Township.
Okay, so what is it actually running through? Just the countryside?
Well, this section is through the U.S. Gypsum Old Mining quarry area, and it is wonderful that we were able to work out an arrangement where we would get a grant, or not a grant, but an easement through here. We also had grants to build the path to pay for it, but it gets us off the main highway.
Okay.
And it also provides an opportunity to kind of feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but you're also seeing an old historic quarry area, and a lot of the local people recognize this landmark and that landmark and love to come down here. And the other thing we have is the crib, which you'll see and that is still standing out in the lake. And that's where the freighters came in to load the gypsum. Going to be installing, I believe, 6 new interpretive signs.
Okay.
We have some already here that were installed in 2016 when we opened the path, this section of the path. These new signs should be up within the next month or so, and there'll be more to do with the actual history of mining, of gypsum, of how they had the community, the little village, and so on.
Okay, it's kind of a neat spot too, because you can see there's a little bit of water down here at certain times of the year, drawing those things in. We got a nice bridge that goes over the top of it too for everyone.
Exactly, yeah. The bridge is pretty cool. People like bridges.
Yeah, they do.
And
they do.
That was one of the key parts of the design. Spicer Engineering did the original design work for this, and I remember them saying, "Oh, we're going to do a bridge," and okay, we have to do a bridge, but we like it. It's good.
It's nice. It really is. Does the trail itself, does it loop back around? Does it just go down and stop? Or?
No, it meanders down and around and makes its way back out closer to 23 and goes all the way down to Dyer Road, where there's a staging area and a place where you can park. So a lot of people will go to the Dyer Road staging area, in their cars, get on their bikes, and then ride on through. And it's, as I said, I think it's a little over 7 miles all the way into Tawas City.
Well, that's what's nice because it comes right out of Tawas.
Exactly. And the other thing that's nice is it will go all the way out to Tawas Point. You can go all the way in through Tawas City, East Tawas, and
For those that have more ambition than I do.
Oh, I thought we were going. Are you ready to get back on it and go?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
It was
Thank
so
you,
good to
Good to
meet
see
you.
you, indeed.
And thank you for all the information.
come back anytime.
All right. After a great bike ride, it was time to switch gears and head to a blueberry farm. I wonder if they have any blueberry pie.
Well, good morning, Tom. It's another beautiful day here in the Tawas Bay area, and I brought you out to Chika's Blueberry Farm, something that the whole family can enjoy. And most people don't realize we have blueberries in northeast Michigan, and Joe and Sharon have 6 acres of beautiful blueberry bushes, and we're going to go learn more about the farm and the history and get the people excited about coming to pick blueberries.
Ah, blueberries. You know, I love blueberries. The minute she mentioned that to me, and all I can think of is blueberry pancakes, blueberry pies, blueberries over the top of my ice cream. It all sounds good. And you look up behind me and you can see the fields out there. You might notice that there's a big fence around it. Critters come in here and they're eating the blueberries too. So this kind of keeps the deer out and some of the other things so that we can keep these plants nice and keep the blueberries there for everybody else. But let's go in and talk to them.
Let's go.
All right.
Okay.
Okay, and I'm telling you what, I'm already seeing berries, and that's kind of neat to have them going already. Tell us a little bit, though, how did this whole thing get started?
Well, my mother and father, when they were younger, and I was very young, kept coming up here for vacations and weekends and so forth, and they finally decided they wanted to move up here. And then Dad found out about blueberries and decided that in the course of living up here, he wanted to grow blueberries.
And this soil is perfect. It's a pH of 4.8, which is very acid.
Okay.
And blueberries need acid soil, and not much else does.
Okay, well, that's kind of interesting because this is actually, growing something like this is almost like being a farmer. I mean, here it's agriculture, so.
It is.
It is.
It's
It
specialized agriculture. Yeah.
You have how many acres of fields here?
Well, we have 6 acres in blueberries.
Okay.
But we have more
Inside the deer
property.
fence,
Yeah.
which really works to keep the
You
deer
can
out.
see
The deer eat.
deer fence here.
They don't eat the berries once they're ripe. They eat the shoots in the wintertime, which have already set buds. So in the wintertime, they eat off the potential crop
Okay, that's what, yeah.
when there's not much else for them to eat. But the deer fence works.
Okay, I know that the blueberries have a tendency to draw a few bears too. Do you ever see bear out here wandering around?
We saw one bear. It was many years ago. It was a cub. It looked like about a 100-pound dog, and it just ran on the outside of the fence. And there are lots between us and the highway, and it must have gone behind those lots and ended up in town and was sighted in town. But it was looked like a 100-pound dog.
We think yearling male that Mama had kicked out so she could have her new babies.
Okay.
And it was early June, so he didn't have a clue that there were going to be blueberries back here.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, now, what does it take really to grow blueberries like this? Honestly, I didn't know it grew in a bush like this. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it in the wild.
Yeah, you've seen.
But you're always, yes.
Yeah.
Well, these are cultivars, various different types. These happen to be called an early blue variety. As you can see, they're already ripening. And then right next to you here is a variety called Northlands. And Northlands are a later variety. You can see all the berries are still green on that thing. The Northlands actually all the cultivars were developed by Michigan State University for the blueberry industry way back when, in the 50s, and probably even before.
And his dad tested about 50 varieties for Michigan State. Grew them here and see how they do.
The Northlands I am told, are closely related to the wild berries. And they have a different growth habit than some of the other varieties.
Does it taste different too?
Yes, these are a little bit less sweet, more of a tart berry.
More like wild.
Yeah.
Well, today's show has a little bit of everything in it, including a Pure Michigan clip that we added video to. So relax for the next 30 seconds and enjoy a little pure Michigan.
Keep it simple. It's a good lesson for us all. If only our daily lives were that easy. We work too hard, move too fast. But there is a place we can go where the sun comes up and says, slow down. Stop and smell the wildflowers. Spend the whole day on turquoise blue waters. Walk the beach the long way home. On the northeast side of Michigan, every day on the Sunrise Coast is an open invitation to the good life. From Lake Huron to Iosco Springs and all along the mighty Au Sable River, we can take the whole day to go fishing, canoeing, boating, or diving. Take a walk through charming small towns, or take the stairs to the top of historic lighthouses. But mostly, we take it as it comes on the Sunrise Coast, where getting back to the water is pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
Okay, wake up. Time to head out for some craft beer as we discover the latest place for food and fun, the Boathouse and Brewery. Well, I'll tell you what, we were driving down the streets here in Tawas, and we spotted a place I hadn't seen before, and I noticed that it happened to be a brewery, and I thought, by golly, we want to go in to see this place. We came in here, met Bill. We're actually standing in the area you brew the beer in.
You are, and Tom, thanks for coming in. Welcome to the Boathouse Beer Company and Brewery here in Tawas City, Michigan. We're just a small-time operation, small brewery. Actually, not a brewery. We're a brew pub. We've got a full kitchen. We've got amazing food, and we brew small batches of beer, and we try to, just service the customers that we have coming through this area, and
So yeah, well that's great, because the only place you're going to find this beer is right here at this place. I know a lot of people like to go out, they like to sample new beers that are out there. Well, this is another place, and you're only going to find it here. Tell me a little bit about the beers you've got.
Right now, we've got 3 of our own beers on tap. We've got our blonde ale, we've got our Belgian ale, which is that's my favorite, of course. It's I lived for a few years in Belgium, and that's where I lived my love of beer. And then we also have our IPA. Coming soon, we're going to have our nut brown ale, and we're also doing a chocolate stout for the fall. So we're just,
So you're kind of experimenting around then a little bit.
Absolutely. It's there's a little bit of science and love going on here. We're trying to put together beers that people are going to want to drink, but we're also putting together the beers that we like to drink.
There it is.
So.
That's good. Well, what about the future? You're just making enough now for the customers here. Have you got plans?
Well, everybody has plans.
Right.
Our plan is we're gonna grow with the business organically, and if it goes somewhere different than where it is right now, we're gonna go with it, and we're not gonna try and get too big too fast, but we're going to always try to make enough beer to make sure that people are able to have our beer.
Well, I'll tell you what, I got a confession to make. I've already tried a couple of the beers, and they both have been excellent. So I really think you ought to give this a try. Bill, we'd like to try the restaurant too. What do you say we go out to maybe look over your menu, maybe have some food?
I think that's a fantastic idea. Let's do that.
All right. Well, Bill, you've got us out here in the restaurant now, and it's really beautiful. You've got actually 2 dining rooms to it. We've got front windows. We're looking out there on the bay. You have beautiful paintings and prints and different things on the walls here. You've done a great job with it.
Thank you very much, Tom. We owned the building for a few years, and we didn't quite know what to do with it. Eventually, we decided we were going to try and put a restaurant in here. And when we did that, of course, my wife is quite an artist. She put together a really, really nice bunch of artwork to round this place out, and then we brought in some really, really great culinary school trained chefs to round out our kitchen.
Oh.
And
You got the whole ball of wax here going.
We like to think that.
Okay.
We like to think that. So obviously you've already seen some of my wife's artwork here, and we do have quite a eclectic menu that runs kind of the gamut from, prime beef burgers all the way to higher end gourmet fare like our scallops or our filet mignon dish, which are perfectly executed by our highly trained staff in the kitchen. They're just great.
You're making my mouth water here. I'm getting hungry.
Well, I've seen the menu and I heard today's special. I know that's what I'm going to go for.
Okay. Hey, there's one other question I have.
Okay.
Boozery. That's in your name. What the heck does that mean?
Well, when we were coming up with our name, we had to make people aware that we also serve booze. We make high-end cocktails as well, and it's all handcrafted. We make our own simple syrups. All of the juices are hand squeezed every day, and we have this gentleman back here behind us he's quite the mixologist, and he knows his way around the bar.
Okay. This has all made me hungry. You've already got yours picked out. I'm going to have to look at the menu.
Well, then we better do that.
Now we go from sitting next to the water to being on the water as we experience some Lake Huron kayaking. We met our accompanying paddlers at the boat launch on US 23 in downtown East Tawas, where we would unload our kayaks into the Tawas River. The shallow Tawas River flows just 4 to 6 miles per hour. Because the river is only 1 to 3 feet in depth, it makes the ideal place for the whole family or the less experienced kayakers to enjoy the adventure. It's a great day trip as it flows from Tawas Lake before emptying into Lake Huron in the city of Tawas. The river was calm and the skies were bright and blue as we approached and went under the US 23 bridge. All of a sudden, the quiet was broken as the cheers went up over the excitement of heading into Lake Huron just ahead. Some of the kids pulled up on shore so us slower folks could catch up. Tawas City provides a launching area for kayaks along the Tawas Bay on Lake Huron via a 100-foot walkway at the Veterans Park. Sea kayaks make the best type of vessel because they handle the lake's rough conditions better. Here's a quote from Gary Nelke, owner of Nordic Sports in downtown East Tawas and world-class kayaker and traveler. Along with his wife Tess, they have spent their life finding the best kayaking. Her tributaries nurture some of the cleanest, clearest water in the Midwest. One of the tributaries is a designated National Scenic River. Some of her bays and islands are National Wildlife Refuge. Yet Michigan and Lake Huron, an emerald haven of fabulous sunrises, pristine shoreline, and open water, remain largely unexplored by paddlecraft. But Lake Huron's deeply serrated shoreline, its mild seasons, its protected waters, its offshore islands, and its abundance of wildlife and wild places make the lake ideal sea kayaking country. It was time to head inland for a little fishing and evening kayaking, so we headed west down Newman Street in East Tawas for about 3 miles, where we arrived at the DNR launch ramp. It's located on the south shore of the lake off Rainbow Drive. You know what? Lake Huron's not the only place to have fun on the water. We're out just a few miles outside of town in what's called Tawas Lake. It's a smaller lake. It's weedy, looks like a good spot for kayaks and canoes and maybe some small boats. We're gonna find out for sure because we're going out there to explore. Right now we gotta get these kayaks off, so we'll see you on the water. It was a beautiful evening, so quiet that the only sounds you heard were the birds and the fish jumping. We got out on the lake here. It's a little bit bigger lake than what I expected. There's only one shoreline that has anything on it, a few houses, and everything else is just forest and swamp and nobody around. We'll head on down the lake here. We were told that Tawas Lake was one of the area's hot spots for panfish and pike fishing. With a mix of ducks, geese, and swans, with an occasional bald eagle sighting thrown in, Tawas Lake is very popular among local bird and wildlife enthusiasts as well. From being next to the water to on the water, and now we go above the water as we discover some of the best kiteboarding in the country. We noticed some interesting activity involving some very large kites while exploring the beach. Come to find out, Tawas Point apparently also happens to be one of the best locations in the country, maybe the world, to experience the growing extreme sport of kiteboarding. We were fortunate to have a few minutes to talk with Brian Lefevre, who owns Great Lakes Kiteboarding, now in its 7th year and with 2 Michigan locations. You know, for most of us that come out to the beaches and stuff, wind's kind of a pain. I mean, you come out here trying to throw your blanket down and it's blowing away. There's sand blowing all over you. Every time you set something down, it's blowing away. But there's some people that actually thrive on this wind, and I'm standing with one right now. This is Brian Lefevre, and Brian is a kiteboarder. Is that right, Brian?
That's correct, yeah.
Maybe you should explain just exactly what kiteboarding is.
Kiteboarding is basically we have a giant kite that pulls us through the water. It's essentially like wakeboarding. Okay, wakeboarding, you get pulled on a boat, but now we have a kite that's pulling us. So we're using the kite and the power of the wind to pull us through the water. We can jump anywhere from 20 to 30 feet high. We can do tricks, we can do downwinders, and the speed of the sport is just amazing too.
Is it hard to do this?
It's not. I mean, with proper instructions and training, that's what we do. We train, and with that, you can actually learn the sport in about 2 days. Learn everything you need to know about.
No kidding.
Yes.
Now, you have a place up here so people can come up here and actually learn the sport.
Correct. Right in the Brew Crew Mall on Newman Street here in Tawas, and we have another shop in St. Clair Shores.
All right, well, explain a little bit about the equipment, if you would.
The gear, basically, you have essentially a kite, okay? You have your lines that are attached to the kite. Those are 90 feet, okay, in length. And then you have a board, which is essentially like a wakeboard, okay? So basically, it's the 3 components is your kite, your lines, and your board, and that's it.
Okay, now it looks like you're wearing a harness.
You do have a harness because we want to hook in. When you're hooked in, you're not using your arms, you're using your arms just for steering, okay? So it doesn't require strength. You don't need strength for the sport at all. So you can actually use your body weight to counterbalance against the pull.
Okay, now why this area?
Tawas is one of the windiest places in Michigan, and we've been all over Michigan. And because of this point, because it comes out 2 miles into Lake Huron, it's subjected to lake breezes. And it is subjected to thermals, meaning when the sand heats up, it actually brings wind into the bay. And it's always consistently windy here. It's the best spot in Michigan, and in my opinion, it's one of the best spots in the United States for kiting. I've been all over, and I have not found a place that compares to Tawas here.
hope you enjoyed our blog show on Iosco County. We had a great time. It's a place you ought to think about visiting in the future. And don't forget to visit our Facebook page often for all our latest video updates. If you'd like more information, you can always go to our website at greatgetaways.tv. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.